The federal government has been quietly building a database of gun owners for decades. And right now, a massive legal battle backed by 15 states and the United States Department of Justice could shut it down for good. If you own a firearm, or ever plan to buy one, what happens in the next few months could change everything about your rights and your privacy. Before we get into this, do me one favor. Hit that subscribe button right now. Here's why. 9 out of 10 gun owners miss critical legal updates like this one. They find out about new rules after they have already broken them. I do not want that to be you. Subscribe so you are always one step ahead. All right, let me tell you what just happened and why this is the biggest gun rights story nobody is talking about. Back in 1934, during the Great Depression, Congress passed the National Firearms Act, the NFA. This law slapped a $200 tax on things like silencers, short-barreled rifles, and short-barreled shotguns. Now, $200 in 1934 was like $5,000 today. So basically, the government made it almost impossible for regular people to buy these items. But here's the sneaky part. Along with that tax, the government also created a national registry, a database. Every time you bought one of these items, you had to hand over your name, your home address, your date of birth, your fingerprints, your photograph, and a full description of the firearm. Sound familiar? That is the kind of information they collect when someone gets arrested. And they were collecting it from law-abiding citizens who just wanted to buy a suppressor or a short-barreled rifle. For almost 90 years, the government justified this registry by saying it was part of the tax system. The Supreme Court actually agreed back in 1937 in a case called Sunzinski versus United States. The court said the NFA was just a taxing measure and the registration was there to support that tax. Makes sense, right? If you're collecting a tax, you need records of who paid it. But here's where things get really interesting. On July 4th, 2025, President Trump signed the One Big Beautiful Bill Act into law. And buried inside that bill was a game changer. Congress zeroed out the $200 tax on silencers, short-barreled rifles, short-barreled shotguns, and what the law calls any other weapons. The tax went from $200 to zero. Nothing. Gone. Now think about that for a second. The entire legal reason the government had for keeping that registry was the tax. The Supreme Court said so. Congress said so. Everyone agreed the registry was there to support the tax. So what happens when the tax disappears? The registry has no legal leg to stand on. It is like a building with no foundation. And that is exactly what gun rights groups argued in court. Gun Owners of America, the Gun Owners Foundation, Silencer Shop Foundation, and several firearm companies filed a massive lawsuit in the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas. The case is called Silencer Shop Foundation versus Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives. And their argument is simple and powerful. Without the tax, the government has no constitutional authority to force you to register these firearms. The registration requirement is now unconstitutional. But wait, it gets even bigger. On August 8th, 2025, an amended complaint was filed that added 15 state governments as plaintiffs. Texas, Alaska, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Montana, North Dakota, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming all jumped in. 15 states telling the federal government that the registry has to go. These are not fringe groups. These are state attorneys, general putting their full weight behind this fight. If you are finding this helpful, imagine what you will learn in my next video about the 5 words that can protect you during a traffic stop when a police officer asks about your firearm. Subscribe now so you do not miss that one. Now, this is where it gets even more interesting. The NRA is not sitting on the sidelines either. They filed a separate but similar lawsuit in the 8th Circuit in Missouri. Their case goes even further. Not only do they argue the tax power justification is dead, but they also say the NFA registration requirements violate the Second Amendment under 2 landmark Supreme Court cases. First, District of Columbia versus Heller from 2008. And second, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruen from 2022. The Bruen decision is huge because it told lower courts that gun laws have to be consistent with the historical tradition of firearm regulation in America. And guess what? There's no historical tradition of requiring law-abiding citizens to register their firearms with the government. The NRA's complaint states it plainly. Because suppressors and short-barreled rifles are neither dangerous nor unusual, and there is no historical tradition of requiring the registration of protected arms, the NFA's registration scheme is unconstitutional. They even pointed to ATF's own data showing over 4.5 million suppressors registered nationwide. That means these items are in common use. They are not some rare exotic weapon. Millions of Americans own them for legitimate reasons, like protecting their hearing and improving accuracy. Now let me hit you with the part that really shocked me. While these lawsuits are moving through the courts, the Department of Justice has been making moves of its own. In December 2025, the DOJ created a brand new Second Amendment section inside its Civil Rights Division. This was announced by Assistant Attorney General Harmeet Dillon. Think about what that means. The federal government's own Department of Justice now has a dedicated team whose entire job is to protect your Second Amendment rights. That is a historic shift, and they are not just talking. In January 2026, the DOJ filed an amicus brief that is a legal document supporting one side in a court case in Rode versus Bonta. This is an NRA-backed case challenging California's ammunition background check law. California requires a background check for every single ammunition purchase. The DOJ's brief called the law a joke. Their exact words were that it does not pass even the laugh test. They said the regulation is designed to burden the exercise of the right to bear arms, and called it a per se violation of the Second Amendment. A per se violation. That means it is unconstitutional on its face. No further analysis needed. The DOJ was not alone. A coalition of 25 states also filed amicus briefs supporting the challenge. Ohio, Idaho, Alabama, Alaska, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, New Hampshire, North Dakota, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, West Virginia, Wyoming, and the Arizona legislature all stepped up. 25 states plus the DOJ telling California that its gun registry tactics through ammunition tracking are unconstitutional. Now, quick legal note. This is educational information, not legal advice. Always consult an attorney for your specific situation. Laws vary by state, and your circumstances are unique. Hey, here's something I want you to think about. 73% of people watching this video right now are not subscribed. Do not be part of that group. Join the thousands of gun owners who get these updates first. Click subscribe right now and you will never be caught off guard by a legal change. Again, but here's the part nobody's talking about. There's another registry problem that goes way beyond the NFA. The ATF has been building what critics call a backdoor gun registry for years. Here is how it works. Every time you buy a firearm from a licensed dealer, you fill out a Form 4473. That form has your name, address, and details about the gun you are buying. Federal law says the government cannot create a National Firearms Registry. That has been illegal since 1986 under the Firearms Owners Protection Act. But the ATF found a workaround. When gun stores go out of business, they're required to send their records to the ATF, and the ATF has been digitizing those records. Congressional investigators believe the ATF's database now contains over 1 billion records. 1 billion. That is a searchable database of gun transactions that, according to many lawmakers and gun rights groups, functions as an illegal national gun registry. The Trump administration has been working on a new rule to address this. Gun Owners of America has pushed for the gun record retention period to be set at 0 years. That means dealers would not have to keep those records at all, and the ATF would have nothing to collect. This is a massive fight over your privacy as a gun owner. And speaking of privacy, there's another case you need to know about. In February 2026, the NRA and the Second Amendment Foundation filed an amicus brief in a case called Hall versus Sig Sauer in a Pennsylvania federal court. A court order was trying to force Sig Sauer, one of the biggest gun manufacturers in America, to hand over its customer list, names, contact information, everything, without the customer's consent. The NRA's brief argued that privacy in gun ownership has always been a core component of the Second Amendment. They warned that forcing a gun manufacturer to reveal customer identities would expose innocent people to public scrutiny and legal burdens. It would set a dangerous precedent. If a court can force Sig Sauer to hand over its customer list today, what stops them from doing it to Smith & Wesson or Glock or any other manufacturer tomorrow? Here is why all of this matters to you right now. These cases are moving fast. The Silencer Shop Foundation case in Texas has already gone through cross motions for summary judgment. That means both sides have asked the judge to rule in their favor without a full trial. A decision could come at any time. The NRA case in Missouri is on a similar track. The Rode versus Bonta case is heading to an en banc hearing, where the full panel of Ninth Circuit judges will hear arguments. And the ATF registry rule could drop any day. This information could literally change by tomorrow. Laws move fast. Rulings drop without warning. Subscribe now because my next video will cover exactly what you need to do to protect yourself before any of these decisions become final. So let me bring it all together for you. The legal foundation for the federal gun registry is crumbling. 15 states have joined the fight. The DOJ itself is backing gun owners. 25 states are pushing back against registry tactics. And the ATF's billion record database is under fire from the administration. This is the biggest coordinated legal assault on gun owner registration in history. And your rights are at the center of it. If this video helped, share it with one gun owner you know, just one. Because the more people who understand their rights, the harder it is for government to act. Hit subscribe, turn on the bell so you never miss an update, and remember, knowledge is the most powerful weapon you will ever carry. See you. Now, as always, nothing in this video is legal advice. Stay safely informed. For decisions about your specific situation, talk to a licensed attorney in your state.